John Cena, Zoe Kravitz, James Gunn, and Batmite. Regie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And as part of this show, I typically have a guest or two on to help me to make sense of something that is happening in the world of comics and collectibles. And this show is no different because we're going to have two guests on that are going to help me to talk about some stuff that I've been seeing in the news over the course of today. And I will say, if you ruin it, if you're in this chat and you ruin what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be very angry with you. I'm going to send the blue wrenches after you. Jokes, jokes, jokes. But we are going to dig into a couple of topics over the course of this show. And like I said, I will have a few guests on that are going to help me to talk about this stuff. But before we get to that, I want to go to the chat here to see what it is that you guys may have picked up at your LCSs, because today, again, is a celebration of New Comic Book Day, and a lot of that actually starts with the LCSs. And so if you hit up an LCS and you snag some books, I want to know what you picked up. And if you want to shout out your LCS, I want to be open to that as well. So I'll be going to the chat here in just a second. And I will tell you guys, I didn't go to the LCS. You guys know that. I fired my LCS, did not go to the LCS, but my comic shop has charged my debit card. So my books that are part of my subscription service should be en route to me. And I am very excited to get my hands on them so that I can report back as to what my experience has been with the move from an LCS, which I kind of miss. I will honestly say that I miss going to the LCS to now getting things virtually from mycomicshop.com. What is that? Chris Big, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my friend. Scrolling through, let me see what you guys are talking about. Mark, how you doing, brother? He said he picked up Animal Castle, The Lion and the Eagle, Primordial, and Time Before Time, and also the Oswald's Body. I think that's the title there of that one. There you go. Very good, very good. Joe has to reboot his computer. He was unable to see me. Joe, this is what Regie looks like. It's good to see you, my friend. Welcome. Let me see. Fight the Good Fight picked up lots of classic series, Batman and Doctor Strange. Goodness, that's what's up. Nothing wrong with picking up the classic old stuff. There you go. Reggie is Valentine is over. Valentine's Day is over, my friend. You can look for love wherever you happen to find it now at this point. You know what I'm saying? You got to get in where you fit in. Juggernaut, how you doing? It is good to see you, brother. He says delays with the LCS for weeks in a row now. Truck and borders and late deliveries. Oh my is right. Sorry, brother. Comics King says the new X-Men issue, Thor and Venom, he picked up. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what else you guys are talking about. Steve White says his LCS is comic book addiction. I'll be honest with you. That is a very fitting name. Steve, that is a very fitting name for an LCS. Clearly, this comic shop owner is a marketing professional, because he literally puts it out there that this place is addictive and this hobby is, because that is very much true. Only 13 books today picked up: Venom, Thor, Green Lantern, Silver Coin, Primordial, Nubia, Time Before Time, and many, many more. Eternal Thunder, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you picked up Thor, Venom, and a bunch of back issues. There you go. What is that? Thor, Hulk, ASM, Random What If. I started reading the She-Hulk book. I think only one issue is out. I was pleasantly surprised. That I actually enjoyed that She-Hulk book. I may have to pick up some more of those, because I did enjoy that. Mark picked up, he said not new, but new to him, Star Wars 3, the Whitman variant from 1977. There you go. That's what's up. Shouting out the Rogues Gallery Comics in Round Rock, Texas. Shout out to Texas. Scrolling through a lot of people. Jason picked up King Spawn and also Moon Knight. Robust chat. It is a robust chat. I will tell you guys, that if I did not mention at the top of the show, as a reminder, this show, which you are listening to or possibly watching on replay, will be rebroadcast as part of the podcast. So if you want to take some Regie on the go, you can actually access the podcast on your preferred podcasting platform. You simply search for Regie Collects, and you can take me on the go and listen to probably 100 or so episodes of the show that my brother puts up for me. Shout out to Rizal. We recently hit 20,000 downloads on the podcast. And what's really crazy is that we are in a groove right now. We are in a groove with YouTube. The analytics are incredibly strong for YouTube right now. I don't know what I have to sacrifice in order to stay in the vein that I am in with YouTube. But YouTube, I love you. I do love you right now. So please continue to be good to me, because every video that comes out is doing incredibly well. And I am thankful for that. I'm also thankful to all of the people that are downloading the podcast and also listening to or watching the videos. And if so, for some reason you are not yet subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do that. That way you won't miss out on any of the content that comes out from the channel. What is that? TMX says, you keep choosing very hot topics. I feel like I've always done that, but maybe not. Maybe not. Whatever it is, whatever I am doing or not doing, I want to continue doing so as to continue to see what is actually happening with the channel. Thor, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Off-White Tim is up in here. Matt, how you doing? 2021 New Age Investments. If you are here for the first time, I definitely want to encourage you to go ahead and say first time or first or something like that, so that the Giving Gang and the Comic Book Swoldiers can welcome you properly. I will tell you, to the point of hot topic, I am going to be releasing another video tomorrow, and it is an IRS video. It is an IRS video. I am going to provide you with practical tips and pointers for how you can protect your comic book profits from the IRS. You can avoid certain things, and I would encourage you to check out this video. It is a build upon the previous video that I released about IRS. I think that this is going to be a good video. I hope that you guys will check it out, but that'll be coming out tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In addition to that, if you have not read the blog post on some Black Adam spec that was written by Dave Bratton, I would encourage you to head over to regiecollects.com and check that out. All right. So I want to go ahead and jump into the first topic here. Some of you probably have already heard about this. There was a tweet that came out. Shout out to, I think it was Dave that hit me to this first. There was a tweet that came out that rang out like a shot in the night. It rang out because it declared that Peacemaker season 2 is coming back. That's right. Peacemaker is coming back for season 2. This is actually a tweet that came out from my man, James Gunn. He gives thanks to all of the people, including John Cena, that are involved in this project. And he is like, it is coming back. It is going down. And so I thought that this was a really good tweet. So I decided to go ahead and read some news. I decided to read some news because clearly the tweet does not tell you the full story. So I actually pulled down this article on comicbook.com, which actually features an interview here by James Gunn. I do not remember his hair being so white. I think that the COVID has done something. The pandemic has done something to him. He seems to have more white hair on his head. But James Gunn confirmed that Peacemaker would be getting a second season on HBO Max today. Over the course of the first season, fans really grew to like John Cena's character. Clearly, that strong fan reaction did something for HBO as they signaled their intent to keep rocking with the band of misfits for a season 2. And they point to the fact that it was announced on the Twitter machine. James Gunn did. And so it is coming back. It is coming back for a season 2. There's some other things in here that I could highlight that we're not gonna dig into those, because I want to transition. I want to transition to my first guest, and that you guys are not going to guess who this guest is. You're not going to guess this one, because a lot of you are automatically going to say people that have been on the show. This is not someone that's been on the show. It's somebody that is active in the Discord, that has been sharing their videos there, and that is part of what actually captured my attention and why I decided to invite Philtastic. Phil from Philtastic's Comic and Art to the show. Phil, how you doing, brother?
Well, Reggie, how about yourself?
I have zero complaints.
Always good to hear.
Zero. I have a lot of problems, but zero complaints. That's my standard answer.
And only one G.
And only one what?
And only one G.
Oh my goodness, bro. If I could count how many times people misspell my name over the course of the day, and it's like everywhere. It's everywhere. It's like it's only one G though. It's only one G. But yeah. So Phil, I am curious, brother. What when you heard the news that Peacemaker was coming back for a season 2, what was your thought?
I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you. I honestly figured this was going to be something like the WandaVision show, where they were like, "Oh, okay, you liked that? Well, this is all we have for you." And you figured John Cena, big movie star, even before Peacemaker, how are they going to get him for another season?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I'll tell you, I am not surprised. I am not surprised. And here's why. I saw some interviews with James Gunn early on where he was like, I wrote these episodes. I wrote a couple of them. I directed some of them. He was like, if people want more, then we'll come back and do a season 2. So I think he was thinking it could be one and done, but even he kind of left the door open for the possibility of there being 2. Because at the end of the day, you never know how people are going to react to this show or to any show that gets released. And I'm curious from your perspective, Phil, whether you were in love with the Peacemaker show from the first episode. And I asked that question because this article basically alludes to the fact that when the first episode dropped, everybody loved it. And I'm curious whether you loved it from that very first episode.
It definitely wasn't great right out of the gate for me. And, I think it was kind of an uphill battle, considering that this was the one character in the Suicide Squad movie, spoilers, that really had no redemptive arc at the end of it. But they kind of got that, hey, this is not a Deadpool clone out of in the second episode. And what they've really kind of built onto, I think, is just something remarkable. I mean, it's really going to be a full character study like I don't think we've really seen ever before. Maybe even deeper than WandaVision.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I struggled, and you may know this. I was on the struggle bus with the show. And I was really excited about it to begin with because I loved him in Suicide Squad. I don't know if it was the white pants or the fact that he was a bodybuilder. I don't know, had some fitness. I don't know what it was, but or the sarcasm, the dry wit, but I was intrigued to see where this was going to go. And then I watched the first episode and it was like struggle bus for me. I struggled to get through it. But people encouraged me to stick with it, and I started to kind of get into it. Now, you alluded to something that this is not a Deadpool-like character. You said something like a character study or something to that effect. Can you add a little bit of meat to that bone so I fully appreciate what you were trying to convey with those 2 thoughts there?
Absolutely. And I have to give my beautiful wife who's watching this upstairs credit for this, because when she started watching the show with me, she wasn't a fan either. And in fact, she saw Peacemaker, she saw Vigilante eventually and said, "Oh, these guys are just DCU's version of Deadpool." I know this chat's probably going crazy right now, but she doesn't know comics that well. She knows what we show her on TV. But really, they've gone to, again, a character who not many people liked out of Suicide Squad. He was the traitor. Who likes the traitor? And they've got that kind of, I think, that tension of this is the guy nobody wants to see out of the first episode. And from there, you really got to delve deep and see, okay, well, this is why he's the way he is. And at the end of the day, he's just doing these things because he's dedicated to his whole little mission of peace because he's been programmed to do it.
Yep. And I think James Gunn kind of alluded to that in this little interview that I saw on comicbooks.com. They were basically like, he had this belief system that drives everything that he does. And you have an opportunity to kind of look behind the curtain to see what it is that motivates him, what it is that has made him that way. And you realize that he's not a DB on purpose. It might be like accidental that he has become that, but you actually start to like him as like a person versus just this this caricature that you assumed that he would be, again with the white pants and the eagle, and it was interesting. But you actually start to care about him. Would you agree with that thought, or would you modify that in any way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't not get this far into watching the show and feel some kind of emotional investment into this character. And that's why I think James Gunn was the perfect person to really direct and helm this series.
So to that point, do you credit the success of Peacemaker 1 to get to season 2? Is it because of the talent of James Gunn to make you care about this character that you did not care about? Because technically he wrote this thing. Or is it John Cena's acting, or the ensemble cast, or is it a combination of those factors that you believe is what contributed to them getting a second season? I think before the finale, or maybe the finale is out. I don't know. But what do you attribute season 2 and the success to?
Well, it's definitely a team effort, 100%. You can have all the vision in the world, but if you don't have the right actors or the right cast behind it, you're not going to go anywhere. That being said, James Gunn, even if you look at his stuff outside of superhero movies, he's, in my opinion, excelled when you're dealing with not necessarily the A team or even the B team, but the C team. And I think it's a little bit of freedom in that. I mean, look, you couldn't make a TV show where you had Superman or Batman, just doing what Peacemaker is doing.
Yep.
And I think that affords him a certain amount of creative freedom, kind of like the Guardians. I mean, how many people do you know who honestly was, oh yeah, I'm all about Guardians before that film came out?
It's no one. And anyone
Exactly.
that says that they were is not being honest. Like I bought Guardians of the Galaxy back in the 90s. I bought it, I read it. And it wasn't this exact Guardians of the Galaxy, right? It was different characters. But no one can anticipate that Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be as successful as it was. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
But to your point, he's dealing with characters that no one cares about. So there's a freedom that comes with that, where he's not weighed down with the baggage of legacy and history and like, no, it's got to only be this one way. He can do whatever he wants to do. And when he has that freedom, he runs with it and creates something really magical. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. And to your point earlier as well, when you were asking if it's the cast as well, and you got to do that too, because if you have a character like Batman, no matter who you cast as Batman, from here until the end of time, they're always going to be put up against he's not Michael Keaton, he's not Val Kilmer. And, people say he's not George Clooney. Well, maybe nobody's going to say that, but you get my point.
No, and that actually segues quite nicely into the second topic that we're going to get to. But Phil, as I get ready to let you go, brother, where can people find you on the social media? And also you have a YouTube channel, but where can people find you online if they want to learn more about you, hear more about you, see more from you?
You can check me out on Instagram at Philtastic Comics and Art. I post a lot of my artwork there, as well as anything I do on YouTube and just any kind of funny comic memes I find. And on YouTube, same name, Philtastic Comics and Art. I mostly record from my home office here, which is a little bit of disarray. We're expecting, so my office kind of looks like the Raiders of the Lost Ark here with all the boxes all around. But you could see me do anything from talking in my basement to myself about comics to talking to my kitchen, or I just started talking in the parking lot while I'm waiting for my wife at a doctor's appointment.
So what do you know what you're having yet?
Yes, we're going to have a boy.
Good luck, brother.
Thank you.
Good luck. If you have nice stuff, just say goodbye to it right now. Kids, brother. They gotta love them. But no, congrats to you and the wife, and thank you for coming on. I absolutely enjoyed chatting with you, and we'll have to get you back on sometime soon.
Thank you. My pleasure. Peace.
Oh, I cut him off. Dang it. My bad. You want to finish thought? Finish
Sure.
thought.
I was just saying, peace, love, and comics, everybody. Have a great night.
I've got to not be so quick on the trigger. Phil, my bad, brother, but thank you. I'm glad you were able to get that in there, because I'm always quick on the draw with that one. So again, just a wonderful conversation around the fact that we are now going to get a second season of Peacemaker. As I mentioned before, This was not a show. This was not a show that I was in love with from episode one, but it has grown on me, and I'm excited to see what comes next. I really don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, you can kind of figure out where they may go, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this continues to build over time into the second season. Now that James Gunn is going to pick the pencil up and start making magic, one of the big questions is, Chris. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I do have a superpower for hitting that button kind of quick. I made up for it. I made up for it. I brought him back and he was able to finish his thought. I felt bad. You guys are making it worse. You guys are making it worse. Monique, it was not very good to begin with. And I'm glad that I stuck with it because it ended up being relatively good. I mean, I have not seen the last episode, but the truth is we might be able to say a similar thing about Boba Fett, right? Let's be like, Boba Fett is, in my opinion, like watching paint dry at various points. And at some points it's incredibly brilliant. Last couple of episodes were really, really strong, but there was a point in there where it was just brutal, and I can always count on Tina. I can always count on Tina to make me feel better about such stuff when I'm you guys are awesome. All right. So the second topic that I wanted to talk about is the fact that some news is coming out. Well, I don't even know if it's news. It might be fandom getting ahead of itself to some degree or another. And we're going to bring our second guest up here in a hot second. But I want to show this article that I found on comicbook.com, which highlights that the Batman, the director of the Batman, is addressing questions about the possibility of a Catwoman spinoff. This movie has not even been released yet, and they're talking about a spinoff. And it says the Batman's director has addressed the possibility of a Catwoman spinoff. Matt Reeves, who is the director, was present for a Q&A in California. During that conversation, the press asked about getting Zoe Kravitz's character, her own series on HBO Max, or possibly even a movie. And Matt Reeves does what good people do. He punts. He punted it to someone else, and he says, "Go talk to the HBO Max representatives." He says, "You should really talk to the HBO Max representatives. I mean, look, what we're really trying to do is to launch this world. If fans embrace this, we have a lot of ideas we want to do. And sure, we want Selena to continue their relationship and what they are to each other. To me, that's the heart of the movie. It's the push-pull between the two of them, that being Batman and Selena." He says what it really comes down to is how people receive it, how people actually receive the movie itself. And I want to play this clip here really quickly, because I saw this clip as I was doing a little bit of research, and I personally thought that this clip was somewhat telling about actors and their preparation for the roles that they are going to play. So we'll play this briefly, and then we'll bring up our guest on the other side.
So when I first got the job, I was, my instinct was to start reading every comic book I could get my hands on. But then I thought, okay, let me talk to Matt first and really see what his vision is and what he thinks I should be reading. And I ended up really sticking with Frank Miller's Year One, because that was, I think, kind of the home base for this particular story that we were telling. And my fear was that if I were to read everything, I'm going to want to incorporate everything, and it will get kind of gray and mushy, and I'll become overwhelmed and want to kind of fit too many ideas into one story. And the script itself is so complex and so specific, I really decided to rely on that to guide me with this character.
And again, quick on the draw, cut off Zoe. But I thought that clip was really telling. And if you don't know, Zoe Kravitz is the daughter of Lisa Bonet from the Huxtable show and Lenny Kravitz. She is like the spitting image of her mother, in my opinion. So with that, I'm actually going to bring our guest up here real quick. Let me see if I can get his screen in the right place. Aaron from Double A Comics. How are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, Reggie? How are you?
I'm doing well, Aaron. I probably should have sent you a note that said, "Do not make me look bad with your attire." Okay, you show up here in a suit and tie, you make a brother look bad.
Listen, we're talking about the Batman movie. I'm on Reggie Collects channel. I mean, I can't slack. We got to show out for this. So I put on the black tie for you. I hope you feel special.
It is really well done, brother. I will tell you, it is well done. I may have to start dressing up. I feel better when I put on a shirt and tie, you know. But Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, brother. We're not going to see this movie until March 2020, right?
Yes, I believe so. To be honest, I've been so overwhelmed with the amount of trailers, and we were just speaking of kids. I have kids as well. That sometimes the days and weeks melt together into a conglomerate, where I look up and go, "It's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday." It's one of those days. I know it's one of them.
That is everything you just said is legit. I feel like all I do is work and go to soccer practice, literally. You know, it's like a never ending day. Like a week is a never ending day. The only reason I can remember what day it is because I have to go live at certain times. But I believe that it's March. And my point here is that the movie's not even out.
Yeah.
And reporters and fans are asking about a Catwoman spinoff. Help me to understand, brother. Is there that much pent up demand for like a Batman movie that people are like, what's coming next? Even though we haven't even received what you're supposed to give me.
Yeah, I think the demand is really high, and if especially when I think about it in the historical context, Batman is sort of the flagship property, particularly when you go to the movies, and I think DC knows that it's the flagship property because they're sort of continually going back to it in different ways, right? I mean, we already mentioned Clooney's Batman, Val Kilmer's Batman, Keaton's Batman. I mean, we had Christian Bale as Batman. We've already had a one shot with the Joker, which people didn't know how they were going to feel about it, and then that got a lot of critical acclaim. So that's a huge universe, and they keep going back to the well. And I think the good thing is you can sort of create, if you were going to go the sequel route, it's easy to kind of create separate universes outside of what's going on with, say, the Justice League movies and what's going on off to the side. They can sort of do their own thing and not be hindered by what's going on in other parts of the DCU.
So to that point of it being the flagship, if you will, I don't think anybody out there would deny that either Batman or Superman are your flagship properties when it comes to DC. There's no doubt about that, right? But do you think that they are going to plant a flag here? Do you think that they're really going to plant a flag here and try to do the DCEU's version of the MCU, if you will, the way that they did it with Iron Man? They put a stake in the ground. They were like, we're going to build from this point. Is this the Batman, that stake in the ground for what DC plans to do? Or is it just going to be something that's going to blow in the wind?
Yeah, so I think the two things that come to mind immediately, one actually kind of pertaining to you is I think a lot of DC people would agree with this. The DC typically does the best when they're not trying to replicate Marvel.
Agreed.
But when they're trying to be who they are. And when they stick to that, they really shine. I think trying to do things like Marvel has not been effective. And I feel like when they go in a completely opposite direction, they're rewarded for that. Joker was completely opposite direction of the MCU. And that movie was supposed to be a one-off and did so well, they immediately started talking sequel. And there were no plans for a sequel on that movie.
Right.
And I think this movie, and I want to get to the cast they've assembled too. I saw this cast and some people kind of poo-pooed Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz a little bit. And I immediately...
From day one.
I immediately have been on sort of the defensive / offensive where I realized Pattinson got famous because of the Twilight movies, but he's been in a lot of other movies, and he has legitimate acting chops.
Yep.
Like The Lighthouse, The Lost City of Z. I mean, and Zoe Kravitz, I love that casting choice. Personally, I love that casting choice.
She's gorgeous, and I think, based upon when you watch her talk, seems to be really interested in doing a good job. But I want to back up because you dodged my question. I want to back up and I want to ask my question again. What I was asking was not necessarily is DC going to try to be the MCU, but are they going to plant a flag in the sense of them building out more than one movie, building out a universe in order to deliver multiple movies? Or do you think that they're going to continue to have these individual successes that will not lend itself to something greater? That's kind of what I was alluding to, because if you think about it, what they did with Iron Man, they basically came up with a formula and they replicate that exact same formula time and time again, and it's been successful. It's up and down with DC. So are they going to find a formula for them and deliver against it? That's kind of what I was trying to ask.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't trust them that is going to happen. Not yet. I would love for that to happen, for this to be the starting point of sort of a new era, so to speak, where they're going to draw a line in the sand and say, all right, we're going to start from here. We're going to, play this out with possibly this movie and maybe one or two to follow. We're going to try and do shows our way. And then we're going to go into other heroes and villains, so to speak, using this, starting from here, planting this flag the way that would be great. And I think, they asked Matt Reeves, or he brought it up. I'm not sure how it took place. I was just reading through a few articles about a second movie with the possibility of Mr. Freeze. That's another person who's been brought up. And he said, I could do that, but I'd like to do a more grounded version. And, the last time a major director got the Batman property and did grounded versions of the characters, that went pretty well. I think we can agree. Yeah. The Christian Bale trilogy, there's some differences of opinion, but overall, I think we would say that went pretty well, trying to do some grounded, more kind of gritty approaches to the character. So I would love for them to do that with the whole universe.
But my thing is, just do something and commit to it and try to make it successful instead of taking these shots, hoping that something is going to stick. Like, have a plan. Have a plan and execute the plan. You know what I'm saying? This year alone, I think there's 4 different Batmen that we're going to see. Like between, I think, like animated stuff and, other movies, it's like 4 different Batman. It would be great if it was just one. I'm sure these actors absolutely appreciate it, but it would be great if there was a unified approach to what they're trying to do. But at the end of the day, no one cares. Just do good movies. I think that's the big thing. But you brought up this idea of Rob Pattinson. And I remember, I think it was like 2 years ago by this point, I released a video that basically said Rob Pattinson is the perfect Batman. And I had a rationale for it. He's a young guy. He's attractive. You can do a decade or so with him or more before he kind of times out. And people, I remember, they did not like what I had to say in that video, but I still stand by Rob is a good choice. What have you seen that has led you to believe that he is a good choice for Batman? And then if you want to segue into Zoe Kravitz, I'm open to that. Yeah.
So I think I like the idea of him as Batman because I've seen, in my mind, he's not just Team Edward or Team Jacob, right? Like, I think that got stuck in a lot of people's mind, and I understand that. But after watching other films that he's been in, he's got great range. And I think I've seen the potential for him to be a darker, more detective-like Batman, and to dig into that aspect of the character. And I don't, the other thing that I've seen is this Batman movie is supposed to have some horror elements. And I could see him thriving with some of that, with doing that well, with kind of leaning into that. You know, the first trailer when he gets into that fight and they're like, "Who are you?" And he says, "You know, I'm vengeance." That's a different take.
Yeah.
You know, he's not trying to necessarily be the good guy. I mean, in the traditional sense, he's trying to fight evil maybe the way he sees it on his terms.
Yep.
And so I think the complexity of character, which I think he can bring to the screen, is what personally I would be very interested in seeing. That Batman, that kind of complex. Is he completely good? Are there things that are ethically problematic here about this approach? I think that's a lot more interesting than the standard, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys.
Because I mean, the reality is that that's a little bit of a struggle with Selena, with Zoe, right? Because she is a bad guy, but he's also romantically interested in her. So there is that push-pull energy where he's like, she's bad, but she's oh so good. That's interesting. And I think Zoe Kravitz is a great, you know, actress to play that role because she is attractive, you know, but talk with me about her casting and why you think that that might be a good Selena Kyle.
Again, I'm a big Frank Miller guy, and she mentioned Frank Miller's Year One.
Yep.
I need to believe that the actress playing Catwoman is the equal of Batman. And what I mean by that is I need to believe that, like, mentally, she can be right there with him. And I see that with her, and even how I've watched them interact during the press tour a little bit.
Yep.
I'm very encouraged. I feel like she brings that sort of mystery. You know, she's obviously very attractive. And I think, though, there's also that sort of intelligence, that mystique, that, like, she's right there. And because eventually her and Bruce need to get to the point where they're having these difficult conversations or making these difficult choices kind of together, where you feel that they're torn.
Yep.
She's not bad, but she's not good. And he's not bad, but he's not 100% good either. And I need to feel that tension. And I think I'm personally very encouraged by what I've seen thus far. And to add on to all that, we've seen all these trailers. No one really knows what this plot is yet. Like, we know the characters, we have an idea of some of the things that are going to happen, but no one really has any idea how this movie is going to play out, which I'm actually really excited about.
They are holding the line on this thing, which is really fascinating. You know, in this entertainment TV or whatever it was that I was watching, they alluded to the fact that, you know, they have all these great fight scenes. Like, there's lots of great fight scenes where they're going back and forth. But one of the things I thought was really interesting was that she also talked about the fact that she's technically not yet Catwoman, because she's so early on, but they wanted her to still be gritty and still be authentic yet practical, but then also set up what could come next, which is her evolution into Catwoman. So that, again, lends itself in my mind to, they are thinking a little more long-term than just a single movie. And that gives me a tremendous amount of excitement. I think the Riddler is supposed to be in this one. What other characters, maybe the Penguin, what other characters are supposed to be in this? Because I think you're much closer to this than I.
Yeah, so Riddler and Penguin are definitely in this. And I like Penguin a lot. Traditionally in the comics, he's like a club owner. He's like the illegitimate face of Gotham type thing. Mm-hmm. So I really like that choice. I think they can do so much with that. And Riddler, sometimes he's attached to Penguin, sometimes he's not, but a lot of times Riddler's a little more behind the scenes. Where with Penguin, everyone knows he's crooked, but they can't attach anything to him. Yeah, because he's too lawyered up. He's too well connected in the system. They can't take him down. And I think we may see some various crime family members sneak in. Also, Selena's friend. I'm not 100% sure if she's cast for this yet. But she could be someone who comes in because she's a key factor in some of the story arcs. Yep. So those are all things in play.
So I'm curious. We don't know much about the plot. but you are a self-described expert when it comes to Batman. And I know the Bratton brothers speak very highly of your Batman knowledge as well. What is it that Aaron, Double A Comics, would want to see from this movie? Like, what would be the ultimate first foray for Rob Pattinson's The Batman?
I would love to see Rob and Zoe fighting in the street like they did on year one when he's figuring out how to be Batman. I would love to see that. I hope he makes mistakes in this movie because that's a big part of the beginning of his origin is the mistakes, like just in the field,
wrong, man, picking the wrong person, no prep time,
all that kind of stuff, like just like making bad decisions or snap judgments, which were good but not good at the same time. Like I want to see errors, because that's a very important part of, in my mind, some of his origin stories are the mistakes. I mean, everyone knows prep time Batman, and that's really important, but mistakes Batman is also really important. And I hope there's more of a detective, and I hope with the horror elements, maybe some mystery elements, this will be more detective angled. We'll get to see more of that side of Bruce
versus just the crime fighting, fighting in the streets, expensive machinery blowing up kind of thing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, more of someone who is trying to make all the connections in the underbelly of society, so to speak. And for Catwoman, I want to see someone who doesn't fit the good or bad guy arc very easily, but more of the, she's in a system which is strained. And so she does the thing she has to do in her mind to survive and to get the people she cares about to survive. And that juxtaposes very well with Bruce being a billionaire. That sort of back and forth of the very much haves with the very much have nots, and how that sort of, causes them to come into conflict with how they see the world. Right. Because that's one of the reasons she doesn't have any problems with stealing. I steal from people. Yeah, I don't have anything, and I steal from people with more than enough.
And you have a lot. You won't even miss it. I can just snag this and I'll be good, Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, man. I mean, I will tell you that I'm actually more excited about this movie now that I've actually seen like this interview with them where they're actually talking about it versus like maybe even some of the trailers. The trailers are dope. Don't get me wrong. But I like to know a little bit more about them, and that interview that I watched actually got me excited, and so I am hopeful. I'll be honest, I have not finished watching The Joker, and I will not finish watching The Joker. Mental illness freaks me out. It does. I struggle with that, right? So I am never going to see the end of The Joker. It's never going to happen. But the dark, gritty nature, the detective stuff, the fighting that I'm starting to see and kind of frame out from what I'm hearing from these interviews, that excites me. I might actually go to a theater, in other words, to see this because I think it has a tremendous amount of potential to turn things in the right direction for DC to have some real momentum when it comes to movies versus accidental success with certain things,
I hope this turns the tide. I'm hoping this turns the tide and we get back to some of the things we're great at. Everything I've seen so far leaves me to be very encouraged.
Yep.
The early chatter I've heard about it has seemed very positive. So I feel I'm pretty optimistic. I'm trying to actually keep myself in check, if I'm being honest.
So no waiting in line for you at midnight to see it. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Not anymore.
You have kids. You can't do that anyway.
Yeah.
You got to make breakfast in the morning, just like me. So Aaron, I appreciate you coming on to chat with me a little bit about Batman, brother. Where can people find you on the social media? Go ahead and shout out your YouTube as well, so folks can check you out.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. This is great. I love talking about this stuff, and especially obviously Batman. So I appreciate it. Anyone can find me at just Double A Comics. So the word double, the letter A, and comics. That's my YouTube. That's also my Instagram. I'm pretty responsive on Instagram. I like to just talk books. I do buying and selling. I am a reader, as you can see behind me, so I'm involved in a lot of aspects of the hobby. Yeah, I came back in full force probably about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe about 5 years ago now. To be honest, Reggie, I remember watching you. I remember the kitchen videos. I remember. Do you remember the video where you were like, "If it moved, I slabbed it"? I remember
brother,
those videos.
that's legit. Back then, if it moved, I slapped it. That's legit. It rolls right off the tongue still. And it's true. I learned a lot in terms of don't do that, because that's a huge mistake. I tell people all the time, a lot of the videos I created came from mistakes that I made. So don't ever say Reggie said, because I still make mistakes, you know?
Absolutely.
But
yes.
clearly we've been rolling together for a while, if you remember kitchen videos.
Yeah, I definitely remember, because I remember early on when you were like at the 1,000 mark, I was like, I just feel like he should be bigger. There's a lot of like, I said that, I mean, because honestly, I had this talk with Gary when Gary had 700 subscribers. I was like, you're too small. You should be bigger. This doesn't make any sense to me. So I need to, I'm gonna put that out there that I called it, because I want that. But yeah, please reach out to me. I try and be really responsive on Instagram. I do have an email that's attached to my YouTube if you want to go that route. But yeah, love talking books.
I prefer Instagram. Just hit me on Instagram. That way I can do voice notes and videos and text and all that kind of stuff. Don't send me emails. I'm not a huge fan of that.
And it's fun. The party goes over, continues on Instagram.
Yes,
You're one of the people too that got me to go to Instagram.
Or Discord. If you want to hang and party after the show, we'll be on Discord. So, Aaron, I want to thank you for coming on, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure to actually chat with you on camera versus behind the scenes, which is something that we do not terribly often, but often enough that I have a feel for who you are as a person. But thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a great night. I'll stick around in the chat.
And I did not cut him off. I purposefully waited an extra tick before I hit the button. Again, Doug is endorsing him. Doug speaks very, very highly of Aaron, no doubt about it. And Doug introduces me to really good people. He really does. So I'm very thankful for him as being part of the team. And Aaron, super knowledgeable about Batman. What's crazy is I think it was Aaron. It was Aaron and a couple of other people. I sent a message to say, hey, what's the first appearance of this character? Is it this book or that book? I then bought the book. And then they sent me messages saying it's this book. It was the opposite book that I had actually purchased. So what I've learned is to slow down and wait for people to respond before I actually pull the trigger, especially when I don't necessarily have the expertise in a certain area. So to the point that I was making about the Discord, we are going to be giving away something really cool over on Discord. So if you want to swing by after the show, you can actually enter the giveaway. The giveaway ends in a couple of days. On the 20th, we're going to be giving away this right here. This is a first print double signed of the guide to smart comic collecting. This is a 9.6 with white pages. This is a massive slab, double signed by Doug Bratton and myself. We're going to be giving this away. The bot is automatically going to pick the winner on the 20th. All you have to do is to head over to Discord. There's a link in the description. Once you're there, on the left side, after you register and all that kind of stuff, on the left side, there is an events tab. You click that, you go and you tap a button, and now you're in the running for this thing. It's free to join Discord. It's really just an opportunity for us to continue engaging with one another after the show ends. And so oftentimes people will tune in several times over the course of the day and be part of a discussion. There's several different rooms over there that you can talk about, what it is that you recently picked up. If you're looking to trade or sell some books, you can do it there. If you're a content creator, there's a place for you to be able to post your content up. If you just want to hang out and chat about comics, there is a room for that as well. So I definitely encourage people to check that out. We are doing this giveaway on the 20th, and then next month we are doing another giveaway as part of a program that is tied to March Madness. I'm not going to say any more than that, because I promise you I will jack up the details of that. But I definitely encourage you guys to check out the Discord server because it is going down. It is going down. And also, you cannot buy this thing. You cannot buy this book. It is already sold out. Everything has already been mailed out as well. So this is the last copy besides my copy, which still needs to go back to CGC. The last thing that I'm going to do is I want to give you guys a reminder about this right here. This is the Swoldier supply box. This is a box that is over 2 pounds, over 2 pounds of comic book supplies and goodness. They are available on regiecollects.com. I can tell you for a fact that I have sent out some of these boxes that weigh 2 pounds and like 14 ounces. Sent out a lot of these things. I mailed most of them yesterday. So if you ordered one from regiecollects.com, you should have a tracking number. Your box should be en route to you. Fingers crossed that every single box arrives safely. I can tell you it is a challenge to use new packaging, new boxes, to be mailing comics and backing boards and comic book supplies all in one box. It is tricky, but fingers crossed that I got the shipping right, and that everything arrives safe and sound. And certainly if you ordered one and something goes wrong, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation and I will do my best to actually make it right. All right. And again, as a reminder, blog post came out on Wednesday from Dave Bratton on regiecollects.com. It is on a spec related to Black Adam. And then we are releasing one video tomorrow on how to protect your collectible profits from the IRS. How to protect your collectible profits from the IRS. It is a video full of practical tips and advice because it is tax season and you want to try to make sure you don't have to pay any more in taxes than what you absolutely have to pay. The video that's coming out tomorrow will help you. And I will tell you, I have already completed my taxes and it was not a fun process. I will tell you that for a fact. All right. With that said, we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. This show will be available on the podcast. So if you are interested in taking some Regie on the go, you can do that by searching for Regie Collects on your preferred podcasting platform. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.